This video, I'm going to show you the truth on what are called backdrop people. I'm going to show you the signs that you are one and show you exactly how to know. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the signs of being what is called a backdrop person and sharing you what this concept is and the truth as to what it really is. I've done some deep reflection on this. I recently put out a video on backdrop people and it got such an enormous amount of interaction from people that I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a follow-up video for it and kind of clarify it because there were some questions about it too. Now, originally I filmed the video in Japan and I was kind of walking around and being like, showing the probability or the possibility of there being backdrop people and showing what that would mean and what that would be like. Now, first off, if you haven't seen that video, let me explain a little bit about what backdrop people are. And it comes from a book by Dolores Cannon. And if you don't know who Dolores Cannon is, she's was a hypnotherapist for years. And what she would do is she would get people to the deepest levels of brainwave activity. And what would happen is these people would be in a deep level of trance. Their higher self would come through. And then she would ask them questions like, why did you incarnate at this time? What was the purpose of this in your life? What was the relationship with this person? Why did you decide to come and have this experience on earth right now? Because we're immortal spiritual beings having temporary human experiences. And what she did is she would ask questions like that. When one of the things that came up is this explanation of what are called the backdrop people. Now the backdrop people, the idea is that you can almost think of it in the terms of a movie, like filler people, or backdrop people like like when you go out into society, for example, and you see people everywhere, the idea would be that some of those people may be within the simulation itself because reality is a form of simulation. Some of those people may not actually be what we think of as the traditional type souls or people. They may just be there as a projection to fill up space. Now, the idea behind this in the form of a movie is that you are the lead role in your reality, and then you have maybe a cameo, which could be somebody else, maybe a family member in your life, or maybe that person also has a lead role in your life. And then there's people that are cameos that just have smaller roles. And then there are, and would be this idea of the backdrop people. And the backdrop people would not actually have a role in it. They would just kind of be there in the background. And you wouldn't, and the idea is whether they even have a soul or not, if they're just a projection within the simulation itself of reality. Now, the thing that I want to share with you right now about the video that I did before is that in that video I talk about how it's a dangerous concept to have this idea of the backdrop people, because what it does is it starts to put labels onto people as to whether they are real or not. Understand, first off, reality is a form of simulation. We are immortal spiritual beings pretending to be these 3D physical bodies. And we use this body as a vehicle to have the experience that we're having. However, at a greater level, we are so much more than our bodies. Now, if we come to the position of this person's a backdrop person or this person's a real person, there's a potential of creating karma where we start to think of ourselves in more of a hierarchy. Or we say, well, it doesn't really matter because they're not really a person anyways. And this gets into more ego. The part that's important to understand is that everything in your life is a reflection of you. Everything in your life. I've listened to Bashar before and he says, in order to transcend the third dimension, you must realize that you are the third dimension itself. That reality is simply a projection, and everything you experience in your life is a reflection of you. So if we go out and we think that certain people are backdrop people and certain people are real people, we start to create this line in the sand that isn't conducive, when in actuality they're all projections of you anyways. So it depends upon the perspective. Now, Dolores Cannon only had maybe a chapter on what are called the backdrop people. Out of the 17 books that she's had, the thousands of different concepts or ideas, the backdrop people was only mentioned a couple times. So there's not a whole bunch of information on it. Now, the takeaway from it, though, is that we exist within a simulation of consciousness. We are immortal spiritual beings that exist in the love frequency. That's our natural state. We project ourselves. We play this game where we forget who we are. We have this life experience. We are the lead of our own movie. There are cameos there are supporting roles. However, there are the backdrop people. The backdrop people are people that we don't really have a close connection to, or really even have to maybe even have a conversation with. So are they real or not? The answer is, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Because you won't, or we may not have a conversation with them anyways. But the part to understand is that we want to understand everything is a reflection of ourselves anyways. Everything is a reflection of what we believe to be true. Now, let's talk about the signs of being a backdrop person. I'll tell you right now, if you're watching this video right now and you are perceiving of it, then you are not the fear-based model of being what is called a backdrop person. Because some people in that video I posted were like, am I a backdrop person? Are you a backdrop person? It's not like that. Because if you are conscious and aware and watching this video, you're not a backdrop person. Now, it depends on how you also look at this, because in Dolores Cannon's interview, one time she was asked about this question, and she said that some people may be backdrop people in our lives, in our own lives, projections of certain types of energies they don't even really speak, or we never even interface with, talk to them. However, we may be the backdrop people in other people's lives. Now that kind of flips the script a little bit, because it's like, wait, do these people have souls or not? The idea is it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference because everything is a reflection of the one anyways. However, if you're watching this video, then you can relax in knowing that you are not a backdrop person. You have a soul. You are an immortal spiritual being going through an experience of dreaming that you are this 3D physical human. However, you are going through life experience meant to have and go through more of an awakening of who you are. Becoming aware of the backdrop people is not necessarily relevant. However, the one thing I think it can do that is exciting is it starts to break up our understanding of what reality is, because then we see it as a simulation, which it is. We live in a virtual reality. Think of it. They have virtual reality headsets you put on where you don't know the difference. I've played them before. I've shared this story before, but my cousin came over to my house. No, I went over to my dad's house, and my cousin came over, and he brought this like helmet-looking thing for PlayStation, one of the PlayStations, I don't even know which one. You put it on, and there's 2-3 games we played. We played one game that was like you had to defuse a bomb, so it was interesting. You like cut wires and do this like stuff. Then we played another game that wasn't really in the game. You go underwater, and then you see all these fish swimming around. You're inside this like little cage thing, and you're descending into the water as if you're in a scuba snorkeling tank or whatever. And then what happens is you're looking around, it looks amazing, you feel like you're literally drifting down, and the more further down you go, you feel more and more like you're actually there. And then what happens is these fish flying around or swimming around, whatever fish do, swimming around, you see all this cool stuff happening, you see coral, you see all these animals, and all these fish, and then all of a sudden, you could look all the way around. I could look all the way back and see things, and that's what's stripping me out. And I started to feel this feeling of vertigo. But then what happened is a shark came out of nowhere. This shark came over, and took a bite out of the cage that I was in. It was scary. You see the shark's face, and you see its mouth come right up to you. It tears the cage off. And now I'm sitting there open. I'm not protected by anything. This level of anxiety starts to bubble. But wait. It's just a virtual reality. Then I look down, and I start to get the feeling that I'm on a skyscraper, because as I look down, there's a whole bunch of space going down to the floor, even though, of course, I'm in water. And I see the shark come around again. And the anxiety begins to well up. Now, of course, that was a virtual reality experience, but it appears to be real. But in the same way that our body can't tell the difference and our brain can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not real, what's to say that we in reality are already in a form of simulation? That we are immortal spiritual beings living in unconditional love and bliss, dreaming that we are experiencing reality through the 5 senses. It's just that instead of a headset goggle, we're using our body as the virtual reality headset. And we go around interpreting vibration through our senses. And at certain points of the game, you may upgrade yourself. And when you upgrade yourself, you get a little more abilities. It's where some people have the ability to remote view, astral project, use their third eye to do really amazing intuitive things. That's the sixth sense. That's ability you have once you start tapping into the true nature of reality, which reality is a form of simulation and there are ways of hacking it. But then we may come to a realization that everything is a projection of consciousness, everything is a reflection of the one, which is us. And then we may see that it is probable there could be what are called the backdrop people. But understand, it doesn't really make a difference. If you're watching this video right now, then you are not what is called a backdrop person. You are an immortal spiritual being living a temporary human experience. However, from a certain perspective, you may be the backdrop person in someone else's reality, and they may be that in your reality. In a metaphor, especially a metaphor of thinking of it like a movie set. But do they have souls? Do they not have souls? That's something that I think is irrelevant. It's not relevant. And I think that when we get into that territory, it becomes a little bit more dangerous. So what I would recommend is just understanding that you're an infinite spiritual being living a temporary human experience. Understand reality is much more flexible than you think. It's much more malleable. And when you start to realize that life is a form of projection, it's a dream that we're all having. We're all having our own individual dream, and then there's a dream of the collective consciousness. You start to loosen up. You start to have more fun with it. Have more fun with reality. Understand that it's meant to be fun. Understand that you are also your lead role. Take back your lead role. If you're living your life right now and you are the cameo in everyone else's life, start to realize that you can take your role back. You can start to live from a place of empowerment. You can start to choose things in your life. You may have been living your whole life reading a script, thinking you had to play according to a script. That script is the autopilot mind. You can take back your lead role and realize that you can improv. You can improv, let go of the script, and be yourself. You don't even have to act. Just be who you naturally are. And you get to that when you start to take your power back and you start to feel empowered. So understand that this is something that's here for you. This is something you could tap more into by making the choice. If you would like a meditation that will help you to raise your vibrational set point, it's one of the most powerful meditations I've created. I've leave it in the top of the description box below. Listen to it for 21 days. I think it'll change your life. Also, I'll be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me right here. I post daily content there as well, twice a day. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know below what you think of the backdrop people. Is this something that resonates with you? Do you think it's completely, do you think it is something like Dolores Cannon thought? Or do you think it's something like what I'm mentioning? What do you think? What resonates with you? Go ahead and leave a comment below and let me know. Other than that, go ahead and like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification gear so you can see the daily vids that I do. Other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.